Hello, welcome to the HealingUS Podcast. Today we're joined by Derek Pitera, an entrepreneur, family man, and founder of Firearms. While growing his business, he also juggles fatherhood and multiple ventures, and we're excited to hear how you navigate all of this while maintaining a mental well-being. So, welcome.
How are you? Thank you for having me.
Good. Thanks for coming on. So tell us, share your story. How did SC Arms come about? How did you begin entrepreneurship? Where did it all begin?
Entrepreneurship for me began when I was bouncing around job to job as a kid, searching for what made me happy, what's the next best thing and how I'm going to, survive in life and pay for all these bills and stuff like that. And just kept on bouncing job to job, worked for, multiple trucking companies and kind of found happiness a little bit in trucking because, I was on the road. I was just focused on myself. I didn't have to talk to anybody, deal with anybody, and just drive and go across the country. So it was kind of cool, peace and quiet. But that got boring pretty quick,
And lonely.
And lonely, and it messes up your back sitting in that chair for hours and hours and hours driving across the country. So I got laid off of one job. I looked for something local and something that kind of inspired me and caught my attention, and art was like always a thing for me. And I didn't think that there was a profession or career in art itself, but I got interested in firearms also. So I was bouncing around looking at places online and seeing if there's anybody local that did anything, and ended up finding a company called Cerakote. And Cerakote is a ceramic firearm refinishing business, and they make different colors and products and all that stuff. So, I kind of researched some local places and found some place local that didn't do it yet. They were thinking about doing it, so I was like, hey, I'm looking for full-time work. You want to take me on, and we'll learn together and kind of grow and see what happens. And they ended up hiring me and worked there for about 3.5 years. Learned the business. Got enough knowledge to where I felt comfortable, and after 3.5 years, I think it was, they canned me and they couldn't pay for my salary no more. And there was like a bigger hidden agenda behind all that stuff, but it's kind of like that lit that fire under my ass to say, I don't want to work for anybody else ever again. I'm just going to focus on me. I know this business now. I'm going to see how I could grow and expand it. I loved it. It showed my artistic side and custom painting guns and accessories and everything, like even motorcycle exhausts, like doing the high temp coatings.
That's awesome.
We learned that business really well, and I just grew it from there.
I think when you say like I was into art and then firearms, they seem like the dichotomy of of interest,
Yeah.
So to like have those passions and be able to combine them together, what an opportunity and blessing to be able to like put them together. And it shows your tenacity as a human being to like, hey, I'm gonna make this happen, Yeah. And I what you talked about, like with just struggling going job for job and just trying to be a provider and make life happen. It's it's a quiet struggle of a lot of men in the country, men and women, but it tends to be more of a male issue, right? And a lot of us succumb to that, and that's why there's more suicides in men across our country and the world in general because of that struggle. So how were you able to find that tenacity to stand up and be like, not me, I'm gonna make this happen?
I think a lot of flaws that men have is they're too quiet. You got to be able to speak and not be afraid to talk to somebody if there's an issue that you're having, or even little problems, because a million problems combined causes a big problem. And if you don't talk to anybody, or if you don't, have a chat with anybody, it doesn't matter. It's going to build up inside you. And that's when your conscience starts doing the wrong thing, I think speaking up is the most important thing. Like, don't be afraid to talk to people.
It's huge, and it's hard for men because we're taught to be strong. We're taught to just put it down. It's don't think about yourself. Go and it does bottle up and push. And I'm happy that society is starting to change and start looking at that in a way and pushing men to be more outspoken about their emotions, although it doesn't come innate to us. It's not something that's natural. It feels very uncomfortable. So I'm glad you were able, to push yourself and combine your passions of life. So you were able to set out on this journey now, and you decided to start your own company. And tell me what that looked like. How did this start? Where is your company located?
In Spotswood, New Jersey right now. When we first started, we rented a little spot or a shop in a gun store that was already established in Woodbridge. And I rented space from him for a few months. It just didn't work out. Like, we butted heads all the time. He's still a good dude. I said, I got to go out on my own. So I searched for a shop to see where I could afford a small little place. I didn't have money. I didn't have anything. I had to borrow money from my dad just to redo the construction and electric there that, like, literally almost didn't even open my doors. That's how much money it cost. And found a little hole in the wall behind a chainsaw repair shop in Old Bridge. And it was just, smelled like gasoline 24/7. There's a small little rinky-dink shop in the back, right off of Route 18. And that's kind of like where we grew. That's kind of like where the roots started. We did a lot of customizing and gun building. And, the contacts that I had, we brought manufacturers to us, and we started spraying all these pieces for manufacturers. And that kept us afloat. But there was many days where, I struggled, where I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to pay the bill this month, freaking out. I lived on my own at the time. I had an apartment. Granted, my parents helped me out tremendously, but there was times where, like, I cried myself to sleep, like, because I don't know if I'm paying the bill the next day. And that was rough.
But a lot of people don't see that side of entrepreneurship and opening up businesses.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible.
Usually when people come and see you, like, you're established and you have the sign and everything, but they don't understand the backstory and how much sacrifice it really takes, and those sleepless nights where you're like, I don't know if I'm making payroll.
It takes courage, takes dedication, time.
A lot of self-sacrifice for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And thank God, you had a great support system to be able to kind of help you pull through on that. So what are some of the biggest challenges you face as a business owner?
Right now it's just like laws. It's a lot of different, like, I don't even know how to word it, but just things that happen in the industry with, like, laws and licensing and all that stuff. There's always new things coming out, or they want to take firearm stuff away from us, or they want to limit this, they want to limit that. There's a lot of really good people right now in office, and a lot of governing bodies that are kind of doing the right thing for us as far as Second Amendment goes. So we will see a major change probably in, like, the next 2 to 4 years. There's a lot of stuff in litigation and courts right now that are going to go our way. It just takes time, but firearms, the business itself is a phenomenal business to get into. A lot of people want to open stuff like that. It's really tough to do it because they see companies like myself and all these other big gun stores, and they see us doing well, and they're like, well, if they could do it, I can do it. Well, we're also 13 years deep. We got a lot of time, money invested, mental health invested, a lot of scars, a lot of blood and tears, and it's, it is a great business, but there's a lot involved in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities to what we do with any business that requires licensing and there's regulation with governments. Exactly. And there's conflicting interests between federal and state. You face a lot of hidden challenges that people don't see. I'm currently fighting legislation right now. They came out with a new law on January 6th for sober livings, and didn't tell us until March 19th that this changed, and then we all got fines by March 24th. Incredible. Even though we had no idea, and it changes the way we operate completely. So I feel you on that, and sometimes not only are you trying to run a business and the obstacles of that, but you're also fighting the tides socially, politically, all those kind of things that distract you from the goal of the company.
Exactly.
You know,
Constantly changing laws and everything.
So how do you stay motivated with that?
The industry is constantly growing. It's always, there's younger kids that are coming into the scene, and just like any industry, there's always new product that's coming out that's kind of keeping that industry alive. And my goal is to be able to cater to like everybody in the industry, not just the young crowd, but the old crowd. Like I want to have every kind of product in my store, the new stuff, the old stuff, the collectible stuff. Like I want to have that stuff displayed at my store. So that's our goal, is to be able to cater to everybody, not just a certain criteria
So
of people.
that innovation, that's that creativity, art, passion coming through.
This is kind of like where we bring a brand in, right? Like we're really like the only store in New Jersey that has a logo or like a brand attached to our company. And I do really well with clothing too. So we build off of that. We keep it, we give it to the right people. We sponsor a lot of like UFC fighters, professional boxers, all that stuff, so we're doing a lot of brand recognition stuff, and that's what helps us out tremendously too.
And that's huge in your industry, because the firearms industry tends to be very old school in the way they approach business. And branding, self-recognition, logos, all that, that's very new age.
Exactly, yeah.
So
gotta keep up with times,
Yeah,
times
it gives
are
you a huge edge. As someone who operates in an industry that can be controversial, how do you handle public perception and criticism, and what impact does that have on your mental health?
I don't let, public kind of dictate my business and who I am. I just do my job. I show up for work every single day. I got mouths to feed. I got employees to pay. I got bills to pay, and I don't let the real world dictate my life and what I do on a day-to-day basis. The bills have to get paid. They don't care what's going on in politics or any other other bull crap that they got, but that's just me. I'm just focused on me and my store, my team, and that's the only thing that I want. Like I want to eat at the same table that they eat at, and that's how I'm going to do it.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's some wisdom right there.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
That's I got beat up on the road a couple times, and I learned this way.
Listen, there's that famous saying that I'd rather eat steaks with snakes than crumbs with bums. You know what I mean? Like that's a real saying.
It's again, like being in a highly regulated, controversial industry as well. It's there's been many times that I get flustered just because it's a lot. You're juggling a lot, and it doesn't help when you have someone pushing you down the hill you're trying to climb up.
Yeah.
And I always put your nose to the grindstone. Like, put your head down, do what you're good at. You're doing right by the people that are around you, and continue on. And it's a hard mindset to develop, and it's only one that's developed from hitting an obstacle multiple times. So that's huge. So you're a dad too.
Yes. Yeah.
So where did the kids come into this whole entire venture?
So my son's going on 4 years now.
Okay.
My daughter's 6 months old. It's a lot to juggle with business, especially with a stay-at-home mom. She's suffering, but that's what makes me kind of grind so hard, because I don't want her to go back to work. I don't want my kids going to daycare. There's nothing like a mother's love. And when she's home teaching these kids and teaching them the proper things to do, and how to talk and how to eat and how to do chore, like all that stuff, it's just, there's nothing like it. And that's why I work so hard, because I don't want them struggling and suffering like I did in my earlier years. So that's where I get a lot of my joy.
What was your family dynamic when growing up?
Hardworking parents. Like my father busts his ass every single day. My mother works 15-hour days every single day. Like to this day, she still works 15-hour days. So they're hardworking parents. There was a lot of like animosity and stuff with family as a whole, but not really with my parents. Like my parenthood and life at home was awesome.
It was good.
Yeah, it was really good.
But they were they were busy.
Yeah, they were busy working, but they were always there. Like if I needed something, parents always hooked me up. You know, they took us places. Like our family dynamic was really good.
So you wanted to change it in a way, just that you had your kids have their mother always there.
Yeah. Like as a father with a very busy business too, like it's tough staying at home with your kids, right? Like every father wants to stay at home with their kids and raise them and take them to ball or taekwondo or soccer games, all that stuff, but sometimes work doesn't call for that, but I'm kind of I want to grind to the point where I'm able to at least spend a few more days during the week with my kids and my wife and hang out and be able to do the stuff that I really couldn't do in my earlier time,
I hear you on that.
Yeah.
I run multiple businesses, and we're blessed with the opportunity that my wife can stay home with my children now as well. It took us a while to get there, but the last year, actually, she started staying home in July, and it changes the dynamic of the family completely. And I know it's not everybody can pull that off, so I take it as a blessing, but it does change the family dynamic, and I am a big believer in traditional family dynamics and stuff. Both my parents have been married for 42 years now, and my mom, she was always working, but she when we were preschool age, she opened up her own daycare center so that she could be with us all day long and run a business because they both had to work and produce an income. So I wanted to be there for my kids, and I know I'm working, and me working provides opportunity to my wife to be there, but I got to make the sacrifice. But it's hard. Like, how do you juggle time with your kids and running a business?
There's days where I have great employees where I'm blessed to be able to say, hey, they're like, go spend time with your family or something. If there's a big event going on, then they give me that blessing. So it's really based on your team. If you don't have a good team, if you don't have a solid core, then it's tough for you as a business owner to get out and do something for yourself or with your family, But you have to have that strong core. You treat your employees, with the same mentality and dignity and stuff like that, then they'll work with you, And then you got to do the vice versa to your employees too. Like if they call for a day off or if they need to go somewhere, I'm very lenient. Like, sometimes it's upsetting, but at the same time, they need their time too,
I get it.
And that works back and forth. So as long as you're cool and lenient with that, and you build that strong core, it's pretty good. It's not that bad.
So what would you say your leadership style is with your employees?
I'm stern when I need to be, but I'm very easygoing. Like, I don't like yelling at people, which sometimes I feel like that could flaw myself as being a boss or a business owner. But I'm kind of laid back and chill. I just go with the flow, and we if we need to adapt or whatever, then we wing it kind of.
Yeah.
Just go with the flow every day.
Yeah, they all make fun of me because I'm like I'm like too nice of a person. They tell me all the time I'm too easy-going. My partner is a complete opposite, but it kind of works because we meet in the middle and the magic happens. It's important to my core team is like, we're a family. We hang out, we joke around most of the day. Like, we're hardworking, getting our work done, but having that atmosphere where you guys look out for each other is definitely important, and it speaks in the product at the end of the day. In a fast-paced world of business ownership and constant responsibility, how do you stay grounded and maintain mental clarity?
I think as fast as the business is growing, it doesn't give me time to really, I guess, focus on mental health. I don't know if that makes sense.
Distracted.
It distracts you from it. So that kind of goes into, if you're always on your feet, if you're always staying busy and your mind's always going, you don't got time to think about negative shit, because you just want to grow and expand and become successful in business. Now, when I slow down and when I sit down and I got time to think and all that stuff, then I start getting super cloudy, frustrated, stressed out. You'll see me like moving around and like rubbing my beard or like just fidgeting all the time because my mind's always racing. It's like always thinking, what's the next best thing? Where am I going? What am I doing? And I'm always trying to like constantly build stuff like right away. Like I don't like waiting. Like if I want something, I want to go get it now. Like that's the way that I am. But
so do you put that energy into like a healthy outlet?
yeah, I mean now like as of recently 2025, like I really focused on my self-health because I've never done that for myself. And I recently fractured my back. So going into the chiropractor and getting like a dietitian and changing my diet and eating right and doing all that stuff has focused me a lot more and helped me tremendously. So it's really good.
That's great.
Yeah, so everybody needs self-time and self-care.
100%. Yeah, you gotta balance it out. You know, that obsessive compulsiveness brings us to beautiful opportunities and lets us create things, but it's only sustainable for a certain amount of time.
100%.
What are your go-to strategies for managing stress?
Go-to strategy. I like music.
Music?
Music mellows me out.
Do you play?
No, I used to play. I used to be a drummer.
Okay.
In a couple bands, and it's just my thing is music. Get in a truck, turn on that music, and drive. Shut your phone off. Like I have classic trucks. I had cars and Porsches and everything. I'm a huge car guy, and now I have a completely restored '86 C10. And,
nice.
You know, it's got a built LS in it.
I love
crazy suspension, and that's my de-stressor. Go in there, turn that music on, and just drive.
I think I actually got to see this truck. Is it turboed?
No, it's not turboed. It's built, but next year it's either going to be pro-charged or turbo.
Okay,
one or the other.
all right. I'll
That's
have to
next
come by
year's
and see that.
winter's project, but it's out here in the parking lot. Though, so.
Nice. The so have there been any mentors or personal experiences, people that help shape you?
There is a lot of people that I sort of look up to and kind of see their everyday move. As far as mentoring and stuff like that, you might have heard about him. Ryan Robbins he's another podcaster.
I think I've heard the name.
He's
before.
big in like the finance world and stuff,
Okay.
but his core group of guys, his network and stuff like that is really good because they really do care about you as a person, mentally, physically, you know, financially, all that stuff, and they want you to do good. So like he's been a really good person that I look up to. My friend Evan Seinfeld, he has a big band called Biohazard, and they tour the world, and he just started this program for men that are struggling, and it's called Mentorship, which is really cool. Like he wrote a book and everything, and he brings groups of guys from all over the world. He's based out of Tulum, Mexico, which is pretty wild to begin with, and he just brings guys that are struggling, that are afraid to talk to people, brings them together and just has conversations like this, and they work out together, they'll eat together, they'll do this, and it's a really cool
That's
program.
Awesome. I got to collab with him.
Yeah, it's fantastic what he does. So shout out to Evan Seinfeld. Really good core group of guys. But there's a lot of people that I'm friends with that I really look up to, and they help me, you know, all walks of life.
Mm-hmm. It's that law of attraction that comes into play when you got your mind right and you got a goal and a target. It's amazing what kind of people it brings in the mix, as long as you have the confidence to reach out and say hi to that person and bring them into your circle.
Yeah.
But a lot of doors open, right?
Yeah, you got to have that little tribe, you know.
Yeah.
Just keep them close, you know, the ones that you want to keep close, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, and you are who you hang with. So
Exactly.
I find myself gravitating towards, you know, people that I want to emulate or be, and it's amazing where it brings you and the opportunities it brings. If you could give one piece of advice to other business owners, what would it be?
Definitely don't be afraid to take that first step. You know, a lot of people, I literally just had a friend come in my store the other day, and he goes, I got laid off from my job, and I want to open a trucking business. And I told him that's not a smart move right now. Mm-hmm. And how I like kind of implanted that into his head is I called a few friends that own big logistic companies, mm-hmm. and I got him on the phone with each and every single one of them. And then once he heard it right from the horse's mouth, they're like, don't do this, don't do that. You're going to get crushed on insurance. You're going to get crushed on that. I'd rather give him constructive criticism like that to help him focus and lock in on something and really go back to his passion. Right. Like, find your inner passion, find what you always wanted to do, and find ways to kind of get into that business or grow into it, or how you could expand into that passion, not just winging it just because you see somebody else doing good. That doesn't mean you're going to do good too. Right. So you really got to find your inner passion, and don't be afraid to take that first step. Like, if you got to invest, do it. If you need help from somebody, don't be afraid to ask for a partner, for somebody to just get you going that shares the same passion with you. But I feel that you have to just do it.
You have to believe in what you're doing, because you're going to hit a wall, and you're going to need to be able to climb over it or give up. And it's that passion that gets you over the wall.
100%. Yeah.
So where can our listeners follow your journey and learn more about SC Arms?
We're pretty popular on Instagram. You can follow us at SC_ArmsNJ. We also have an online store, SCArms.com. We're selling all over the country now. We're doing a lot of big things, and we got a lot of stuff in the works now. Fingers crossed, we just landed a property and approval for an outdoor range. So 2025, I'm coming to kick your ass.
Awesome. Well, Thank you for joining us on the podcast today.
Thank you, man, for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
You too.
Thanks for listening to us again at HealingUS Podcast. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe.